The story opens in the Royal Academy of the Kingdom of Clarnell, a classic setting for a tale where brave protagonists and heroines prepare to defeat the Demon King. Our protagonist finds himself inexplicably reincarnated into this familiar world, a game he'd played countless times before. As he picks at his food in the dining hall, he grapples with the shocking reality. He's been reborn as Lest Albion, a villainous noble. The grim truth hits him hard. By the middle of the game's story, he's definitely gonna die. The maddening thought simply won't leave his mind. Lest's past life memories resurfaced just days prior, during a crucial event for all 14-year-olds, the Divine Oracle Ceremony. In this sacred place, under the guidance of an oracle, young people receive their skills from the goddess. The oracle's solemn voice announces the skill granted to Lest, Tame. This revelation is immediately met with derisive laughter from Lest's twin brothers, Edward and Sidward. They mock the useless skill, fit only for controlling horses or pigeons. Their father, Gad Albion, the Marquis, reacts with explosive frustration. He rages about the Albion bloodline, renowned for producing elite swordsmen for generations, and how such a useless non-combat skill could never come from their lineage. He had hoped for a sword saint, or at least a martial arts skill. Despite his first wife's attempts to calm him, the Marquis's anger boils over as he shouts at Lest, declaring him unworthy of the Albion name. Edward and Sidward exchange delighted murmurs, relishing the thought of their incompetent younger brother making the heir competition easier. The oracle, however, offers a quiet word of encouragement to Lest. A reason must exist for him to have been granted that particular skill. A sudden, overwhelming realization dawns on Lest. He remembers everything. He, Lest Albion, is merely a character in Symphonia of Sword and Sorcery, the very game he used to play. The irony is bitter. He hasn't reincarnated as the protagonist, but as the villain. He quickly pieces together the horrifying implications. If things follow the game's events, he's killed by a Demon King army executive in the middle of the story. Worse, no matter which route I take, I always die. As a hardcore player who completed every route, he knows this to be an inescapable death flag. He resolves to break it down. Lest's focus shifts to his seemingly useless skill. He understands that while Tame is typically worthless, Lest's version is different. It can control more than just livestock. It could even control monsters. He recalls that in the original story, Lest never realized this until much later, by which time years of persecution had twisted his heart, leading him to use Tame to hurt people. This overwhelming power then made him a target of the Demon King's army, who eventually stole his power and killed him. Lest deduces that even if he tries to avoid his death, the Demon King's army will still come for him if he wields this power. His solution is clear. I'll use my knowledge of the game and become so strong I could take over a country with one hand. He has only 1 year until the story begins, leaving him a mountain of tasks to ensure his survival. The scene shifts to the Albion family's daily life. Lest's brothers, Sidward and Edward, are full of bravado about their upcoming monthly instruction day. Edward even suggests adding a full-scale mock battle. Sidward shouts playfully about not letting Edward hog the spotlight. Their father, Marquis Gad Albion, expresses his expectations for both. The first wife spitefully remarks on their enthusiasm, contrasting it with the disappointment with a trash skill. Amidst the taunts, Lest quietly enjoys his meal, finding it delicious. Edward suggests Lest would have been perfect for a livestock handler's family, or perhaps a coachman, given his skill. When Lest tries to speak, his father angrily cuts him off, shouting, "I don't care about anything you have to say." The brothers then mock him further, suggesting he go for a walk and find a dog to tame. Lest, unfazed, simply excuses himself. Alone, Lest reflects that it's been a week since he regained his memories, allowing him to piece things together. He attempts to check his status, noting that while it's not like the game, defeating monsters boosts abilities, meaning the level-up system is still in place. The basic rule of his tame skill is clear. He can only tame monsters he personally defeats, meaning he needs to boost his own stats. He identifies a crucial game mechanic still active in this world, midnight training, or midnight grind. In the game, this daily event offered 5 types of training: muscle, running, sprinting, primordial energy refinement, prayer, each raising a specific stat. Crucially, in this world, It's not restricted to midnight or a single session. Lest realizes that by doing every type of training daily, he can get stronger at an insane pace. He begins his magic refinement, surprisingly smoothly, thanks to Lest's original memories of this world. He also recognizes that his current body is physically superior to his past life, indicating the original Lest's diligent, despair-driven training. He decides to save the last training type for his room. His training is interrupted by his brothers, Edward and Sidward, who appear, again mocking him for not having a dog after his walk. Edward, a great sword wielder, recalls their sword training and points out that Lest, lacking a sword-type skill, has no right to attend training. Sidward, identified as a swordsman, echoes his brother. Lest internally dismisses them as hopeless as always. Suddenly, a servant woman exclaims in surprise at something unseen. Lest murmurs in confusion. A new figure, Ona la Brizzle, arrives, greeting the twins. The twins are shocked by what she's carrying. Ona casually explains she took down an earth dragon on the way here. Edward and Sidward are aghast, shouting that such a feat isn't something one casually does. Lest is utterly surprised, realizing this is the girl training his older brothers. Ona la Brizzle is revealed to be only 18, and already holds the title of S-rank adventurer, a genius swordswoman. She asks the servant to leave the dragon carcass, promising to retrieve it later. Lest internally longs to be trained by someone like her. 2 hours later, at the Albion family's grand training hall, Ona energetically pushes the struggling Edward and Sidward. She asks what's wrong with their predictable movements, despite them being KGH, and then collapsing. Lest observes, thinking, "This is insane." He notes that despite his brothers having sword-type skills, they're being treated like toddlers. Ona's energy doesn't waver, as she shouts, "Is it already over? Get up." The exhausted twins are defeated, declaring they can't go on. Ona calls an end to the training. The brothers express relief, questioning the intensity. Lest mentally confirms he can raise his stats through training, but acknowledges that you can't learn real combat skills by yourself. Edward complains about the pain from the mock battle he's supposed to do next, to which a narrator's caption emphatically declares, "Hell no." Luna critiques the twins, stating that with their skills and environment, they should be pushing themselves harder. Lest realizes that Ona only visits the Albion estate once a month for sword training, making this a chance he can't afford to waste. Ona suddenly addresses him. Lest, shocked, fumbles for words before introducing himself. Ona immediately connects him to his Tame skill. Lest, trembling with determination, directly asks her, "I want to get stronger. Please teach me how to fight with a sword." Ona gently rejects his plea, explaining that Tame is not a combat skill, and without a sword-type skill, he wouldn't survive her regimen. Despite this, Lest reiterates his desire to get stronger. Ona considers, then hands him a wooden sword, challenging him to show me whether you're even worth training. Their fight begins, with Ona urging him to prove it with your own hands. Lest finds her movements incredibly fast and every strike heavy. He recognizes she's on another level and, even holding back, could knock him out instantly. He pushes himself, desperately trying to figure out even one thing to learn. Ona notices his efforts, reacting with an impressed ho. Lest continues to struggle, body aching, losing track of time as his legs give out. Ona finally calls it. Exhausted, Lest asks how he did. Ona pauses, then bluntly states, "Not even close. Your physical ability barely meets the minimum. As for swordsmanship, you are practically a total beginner." But she adds a crucial but. "Why do you seek power?" Lest, momentarily confused, eventually asserts, I want to win, against fate itself." Impressed, Ona agrees to give him 30 minutes of instruction after training his brothers, warning him to stop if he slacks off. Lest is overjoyed and thanks her profusely. Ona lets him keep the wooden sword and advises him to train as much as possible before their next monthly meeting, even starting by teaching him how to grip it properly. Lest eagerly requests her guidance. 2 months later, on the 3rd day of training with Ona, Lest is energetically engaged in their training sessions. Ona observes his movements, noting they're becoming predictable and guessing his next move. She even internally thinks, next go for a thrust. Lest, however, anticipates her, feeling the moment is right here. After several intense exchanges, Ulna acknowledges a feint, but critiques Lest for not following through. Lest internally realizes that even if he had, it wouldn't have worked on Ulna. He then remembers game knowledge. In Symphonia of Sword and Sorcery, techniques are just as essential as skills, maybe more. They're finishing moves that let you exceed your physical limits. Lest reveals he's learned one. A single strike that boosts sword speed and power, blade surge, full drive. He then uses flash step. Ulna is visibly shocked, barely avoiding the attack, murmuring, "That was close." Lest is surprised by her reaction. Lest reflects on his 2 months of intense training, thinking he'd gotten stronger, but still perceiving a wide gap between them. Ulna, however, thinks that growth. It's honestly shocking. Lest inwardly curses his perceived lack of progress. Ulna's internal analysis continues. He's only been learning swordsmanship for 2 months, and he's already on par with his brothers who started 6 months earlier. Sure, he's probably been putting in blood, sweat, and tears, but even that doesn't fully explain it. That last technique, flash step, was designed for sword skill users only. For someone without proper combat class to pull it off. Even with natural talent, it should have taken at least a full year, but he did it. In just 2 months, Lest, undeterred, demands, "Come on, let's continue training." Ulna agrees, her final internal thought suggesting a profound realization. Maybe, just maybe, I'm raising a total monster. Our protagonist, Lest Albion, recounts his bizarre new reality while at the dining table with his family. He knows he's a villainous noble, Lest Albion, who is destined to die midway through the story in Symphonia of Sword and Magic. He's been inexplicably reincarnated as this villainous character in a game he played extensively in his previous life. Believing power is his only escape from this fate, he's resolved to use his game knowledge to become the strongest. A month and a half has passed since then, and thanks to a great mentor, Lest has significantly gained power. Up to this point, everything has gone smoothly, as long as he's careful to avoid the protagonist or any other future enemies. But suddenly, his father, Gad Albion, announces a surprising royal visit. Charlotte, the second princess, is coming to their estate. Lest is shocked, and even his twin brothers, Edward and Sidward, react with disbelief. Lest's mind races. Charlotte. That name rings a loud, alarming bell. She is one of the main heroines in Symphonia of Sword and Magic, the second princess of the Finale Kingdom, his walking death flag. Lest mentally reviews Charlotte's character from the game. She's described as the perfect princess through and through, curious about the world, quick to befriend, pure-hearted, and considerate regardless of social status. She possesses extraordinary talent and is a justice-driven character who constantly trains to protect her people. Yet, precisely because of her unwavering sense of justice, she couldn't forgive Lest's actions that hurt others. In the game's original timeline, Charlotte stands alongside the protagonist to confront the rampaging Lest, and as a result of that battle, he ends up killed by a demon lord executive. Lest is bewildered. According to the game's lore, there should have been no connection between him and Charlotte at this point. His father explains that Lady Ulna, their household sword instructor, also serves the royal family. Her Highness heard from Ulna about a talented swordsman of the same age in the Albion family and expressed a desire to meet him. Edward and Sidward immediately assume the princess is interested in them, with their father's first wife excitedly envisioning them gaining her favor and potentially joining the royal family. Lest, however, makes the crucial connection. Ulna and Charlotte were somehow connected. It's now clear that the game's scenario changed because he got involved with Ulna. He realizes that the young swordsman Charlotte showed interest in is almost certainly me. Edward and Sidward, blissfully unaware, interpret Ulna's praise as her bragging about us behind our backs, calling her a tsundere. Lest, in his mind, dismisses their notion that Ulna meant them. 2 weeks later, the day of the visit arrives. Lest thinks that he'd rather not meet someone with whom he has such a grim history. However, as it's a royal visit, he can't simply leave his seat. Just then, Edward shouts at him, demanding to know what Lest is doing there, emphasizing that the princess is interested in them, not him. Sidward joins in, shouting that Lest's presence would hinder their ability to properly entertain the princess and orders him to leave the castle. Lest is secretly delighted, thinking, nice assist. He politely acknowledges their command and takes his leave. As he departs, Les considers where to pass the time until Charlotte returns, then realizes it's the perfect opportunity to test his skills battling monsters. He needs to defeat monsters to make them his subordinates and maximize his tame skill. His target, the Arse Forest, a monster habitat within the Albion family's territory, normally forbidden until one enrolls in the Royal Academy. Les decides against it for now, wanting to avoid standing out too much. Back at the estate, his father, Gad Albion, formally welcomes Princess Charlotte. Charlotte thanks him for accepting her sudden visit. Edward and Sidward are instantly captivated by her beauty, comparing her radiance to stars. Gad Albion inquires if Her Highness possesses the skill Holy Sword Princess, which Charlotte confirms she received about 2 months ago. The twins are amazed, noting that Holy Sword Princess is a top-tier skill, boosting holy magic and swordsmanship, even surpassing Edward's Swordsane skill at the Academy. They are astounded that a princess with such an incredible skill is interested in them. Charlotte then politely requests to watch them spar. Edward and Sidward eagerly agree, and their father instructs them to escort Her Highness to the training grounds. After a brief farewell exchange with his father, the princess, Estella her servant, and the twins proceed. During the spar, Estella asks the princess for her assessment. Charlotte observes that given the twins have had their skills for over half a year, their current level isn't particularly surprising. Edward expresses concern that she's not reacting much, while Sidward assumes the sheltered princess isn't impressed by a mere mock battle. Edward, desperate to avoid her losing interest, suggests they show her real combat by fighting monsters in the nearby Arse Forest. Charlotte is surprised, questioning if they already possess the strength for such a feat. Edward assures her the forest is practically their backyard and they will protect her. He mentally notes this is actually an off-limits area they've never been to, but it's a direct order from their father to raise the princess's affection. Charlotte and Estella exchange a look, and Charlotte agrees, putting her trust in them. The twins eagerly accept the task. Upon reaching the forest, Princess Charlotte observes its surprising darkness, even in daytime. Edward reassures her, though Sidward admits to finding it dark and creepy. Charlotte then inquires about another person in the Albion family, someone in her same grade, asking why they aren't present. Edward explains that Les stepped away, believing he wasn't worthy of her attention due to his tame skill. Sidward adds that since Her Highness is seeking talented swordsmen, Les wouldn't be interesting to her. Charlotte reacts with surprise. Suddenly, Estella gasps in shock. Edward and Sidward are also shocked, identifying an E-rank-designated grave wolf before them. They energetically decide to take it down at once and succeed in defeating the monster. Charlotte is unimpressed, stating, as expected, "It's not as impressive as I had hoped." Estella suggests it's time to return, noting a shift in the wind and an uneasy atmosphere. Charlotte is reluctant to leave so soon. Edward and Sidward protest, insisting it was just the beginning and promising to show her how elegantly they can take down more monsters. But then, all of them are shocked by the appearance of a much larger monster in front of them. Estella identifies it as a Gale Volf, a C-rank-designated extremely dangerous monster. The princess is horrified, and the twins are stunned. The monster immediately attacks. Estella bravely faces the assault, urging Edward and Sidward to take the princess and leave while she holds off the beast. The twins hesitate in fear, but Estella shouts for them to hurry, and they finally comply, fleeing with the princess. As they escape, the twins and princess are shocked to encounter yet another, even larger monster directly in their path. Edward and Sidward exclaim their disbelief and fear, recognizing they cannot win. Princess Charlotte, showing her resolve, energetically calls on them to intercept. The twins are consumed by fear, questioning why such monsters appear only today and believing victory is impossible. They desperately warn the monster not to come closer as the fight begins. Edward's sword is shockingly deflected. The monster swiftly defeats both twins. Princess Charlotte stares in disbelief, realizing she has no choice but to act. She energetically attacks the monster with her holy magic, thinking, "If I just hang on like this, I'm sure Estella will come to save me." But the monster uses magic, disarming the princess and sending her sword flying. Charlotte is shocked by the wind, realizing the monster can use magic. As she begins to cast another spell, she panics. I can't finish my spell in time. Facing the monster's attack, she thinks, is this the end? Just as doom seems imminent, lest Albion suddenly appears to save the princess. Charlotte is surprised, asking, "You are?" Les calmly replies, "Just a passing, ordinary person." Several minutes prior to the dramatic rescue, lest Albion notices Charlotte, her guardmaid Estella, and his brothers Edward and Sidward heading towards the Ars Forest. He's immediately alarmed. Ars Forest. Whoa, seriously. He curses his twin brothers, realizing they're likely trying to show off for Charlotte by venturing into the Forbidden Woods. Lest acknowledges that most monsters in this forest are low rank, meaning his brothers should be able to handle them. However, a terrifying thought crosses his mind. If by some chance they encounter a strong monster and Charlotte were to lose her life, it wouldn't be surprising if the entire Albion family were executed. Deciding it's better safe than sorry, Lest resolves to follow them. His premonition proves spot on. And now, the present. Lest, panting, internally sighs with relief. Phew, that was close. I almost got my family executed. Princess Charlotte, still recovering from the shock, asks who he is. Lest internally frets about having to meet Charlotte so soon, but admits those guys his brothers were simply too unreliable. He desperately wants to hide his identity and awkwardly stammers, "Jay, just a passing commoner." He inwardly urges his brain to come up with a better lie. Charlotte is skeptical, finding it hard to believe his claim. Les quickly shifts focus, urging her to prioritize dealing with the monster. Charlotte, flustered, agrees. Lest immediately identifies their opponent, the Garo Wolf, a C-rank monster, known for its troublesome wind magic. He assesses his chances, admitting that even for his current strength, facing it head-on would give him only a 50% or even 40% chance of winning. Yet, armed with knowledge from the game, he declares, "I'll manage somehow." Les springs into action, confronting the monster. His movements are swift, his attacks varied, leaving no openings whether up close or at range. He acknowledges the monster as extremely powerful, well-balanced in both offense and defense. But, he thinks, as the monster growls in frustration, "Your attack patterns, I know all of them." Princess Charlotte watches in disbelief. She observes that Lest's physical abilities and sword skills don't seem vastly different from her own, yet he's landing blow after blow on the Garo Wolf, something she couldn't even match. She wonders, who is he? The scene transitions into Princess Charlotte's memory. Charlotte recalls a training session with Ilna, who praised her progress after receiving the Holy Sword Princess skill, noting Charlotte hadn't let her guard down despite the powerful blessing. Charlotte confirms her dedication, adding that when it comes to pure swordplay or magic, others possess even more exceptional skills, and she refuses to lose to them. Ilna then looks at Charlotte with a knowing expression, telling her that her rivals aren't limited to those with high-grade skills. Charlotte looks curious as Ilna explains that there are individuals in the world who, though not blessed with skills like Charlotte's, possess power rivaling yours through exceptional talent and hard work. Charlotte recalls Ilna mentioning this before, and Ilna confirms, reminiscing about the boy from the Albion family, who's the same age you. He's quite fascinating. Charlotte observes Ilna speaking with an unusual animation she'd never seen before. Ilna suggests that if Charlotte is curious, she should try meeting him sometime, assuring her he'd be a good source of motivation. The memory fades, returning to the present. Princess Charlotte puts the pieces together, from the Albion family. A boy my own age, she finally understands. He must be Lest Albion, the one granted the dud skill, Tame. The genius who possesses unconventional strength. She realizes, so Lady Ilna was talking about him. Meanwhile, the Garo Wolf is growing tired, panting and attempting weak magical attacks, clearly out of mana. Les notices this, realizing his early magic use contributed to the monster's exhaustion. He knows this is his only chance to press the attack. As the monster tries to lunge towards the princess, Les intercepts with a powerful wah-wah. He unleashes an attack, a flash, the monster is stunned, then collapses, defeated. Princess Charlotte stares at Lest in utter surprise. Lest, catching his breath, mentally celebrates his victory. Charlotte confirms his success, and Lest simply replies, "Yeah." He knows, however, that it's too soon for me to savor the joy of victory, because, for me, the holder of Tame, the real challenge starts now.